What right now, the people on our TV who are telling us we will get through this, we will beat this, are the people working hand in hand with the radical Islamic group.
Families and many young people were out to enjoy a concert at the Manchester Arena and have very sadly lost their lives. Our thoughts are with those 22 victims that we now know have died, the 59 people who have been injured, and their loved ones. We continue to do all we can to support them, and they are being treated at 8 hospitals across Greater Manchester. We have been treating this as a terrorist incident, and we believe at this stage the attack last night was conducted by one man. The priority is to establish whether he was acting alone or as part of a network. The attacker, I can confirm, died at the arena. We believe the attacker was carrying an improvised explosive device which he detonated, causing this atrocity. We would ask people not to speculate on his details or share names. This is a complex and wide-ranging investigation. Our priority is to work with the National Counter-Terrorist Policing Network and UK intelligence services to establish more details about the individual who carried out this attack.
They're also everywhere saying, we don't know who helped him. How did this happen? The government of the UK opened the borders up bipartisanly. They brought these people in. They demonized anybody that spoke out against it or stood up. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they've been engaged in. I'm not saying the individual police officers are to blame, but basically everyone in the UK, everyone in the US, everyone in Europe, I don't care what color you are or where you came from, if you're not an Islamic extremist, an Islamic Orthodox attacker, we all are to blame for not standing up against the arrogance of the Islamicist leaders and their puppets, like the new French president who has said, get used to Islamic terror. It's the new way of life. Just get used to it. We're not going to call it Islamic terror when it happens. We're just going to call it terror. Well, here is the mayor of London Stan, Sadiq Khan, who's starting to ban images of women in bikinis, you know, in public signage. He's bringing in Sharia law. Here he is running his arrogant mouth. He says he doesn't care if the UK blocks new Muslims flooding in. He'll bring them into London itself. He'll set up a safe zone. He'll set up a sanctuary city for the loving Islamicists that are all fleeing their own godforsaken countries where they're killing each other and having on average 6 kids. It's like sticking your arm into a bunch of piranhas with blood dripping off your hand. They're going to chew your arm off. I'm sorry, let's go to this arrogant slime bag who just can't believe how Stockholm syndromed the West is and how he's just arrogantly rolling everyone, smiling with a big fat smile. Terror's not going to stop. And it's just the way it is. Here he is.
Mayor of New York, our people, his office, our people having spoken to the police here, the advice we've received is 29 people have been injured. They were my thoughts and prayers. The advice we've received from the police service here and from the mayor's office is to carry on business as usual. I'm not going to speculate as to who was responsible. I'm not going to speculate as to how the police in New York should react. What I do know is part and parcel of living in a great global city is you've got to be prepared for these things. You've got to be vigilant. You've got to support the police doing an incredibly hard job. You've got to support the security services. And I think speculating when you don't know the facts is
Now, Macron went even further. We've put the transcript of that up on screen. We've got it in French. He just said this is the way it is. And by the way, his latest statements are, we shouldn't worry about being France. We're now the EU. Well, what's the EU? It's now imploding the borders of Europe. It gets rid of your internal borders, opens the external contiguous border, and then brings in the Islamicists. And then the Green Party and everybody announces, yes, Islam is the future. Submit to it. Give your daughters to it. You listen to this, and it's the most bizarre, over-the-top signals of conquest I've ever seen, and our own elites are celebrating it. So joining us is Tommy Robinson, therebelmedia.com, tommyrobinson.co.uk. He's pointed out that they're at war. The government knows they're at war, and the government is basically at war against the people with Islam, using Islam to take the average Brit's right, whether you're a Sikh Brit or a Christian Brit or an atheist Brit, whether you're white or whether you're a black African from, South Africa that happens to be a Christian, you don't have any rights. Only the loving Muslims do. They're the God. How did they get in this position? And what do you make of 22 dead, mainly teenage girls, and the media trying to spin this and saying it's not Islamic?
Alex, I've been in Manchester all day. I've listened to all the mainstream media. I've not heard one of them mention the word Islam. Not one of them. I've started looking then into Islam in Manchester. I've travelled to an extremist mosque. When I was standing at that position outside that mosque, within a 2-mile radius of where I was, there have been 16 Muslims convicted or killed in terrorism. One last year who drove a suicide truck into people in Iraq. We had another Muslim called Burgos who murdered a police officer in Manchester. He comes to the country 3 years prior in the back of a van as a refugee. He was actually in prison. When I was in prison in 2012, he was in control of the prison. So all these solutions, we need to lock them up and send them to prison. Burgos is living a complete halal life after killing a police officer. He's converting and radicalising more people. He certainly is not learning any lesson. He's adding to our problems. And exactly what you've been saying is our political leaders are working with them. Tonight at 6 o'clock in Manchester, there is a peace vigil being held by the Mayor Burnham. He's a Labour MP called Burnham. Now, he last year shared a platform and a stage with an Islamic group called Men. This is an Islamic radical group. Another MP in this area, who is the Justice Secretary for the Labour Party, she received £5,000 cash given to her for her campaign by an Islamic radical group in this area. The Labour Party are in bed. So we're in bed with the radicals. When we're seeing what right now, the people on our TV who are telling us we will get through this, we will beat this, are the people working hand in hand with the radical Islamic group. The people who are facilitating our daughters to be killed and raped in order for vote bank politics to regain power with the Labour Party. They're the people telling us it will all be all right. As soon as I've started digging, it took me 10 minutes in Manchester to find the links.
Well, we all know what it's going to take. It's going to take the politicians that are aiding and abetting a foreign, cancerous political cult to be brought to justice. One way or another, the politicians that are letting these little girls get blown up and murdered and all the rest of it, they're the ones that are aiding and abetting. They're just as guilty as the jihadi that blew himself up. And I'm sorry, you start asking the question, I'm asking you this again, when do you think people in the UK are going to start taking things into their own hands?
Alex, I keep asking myself, when I've watched what's happened here, what is it going to take? What is it going to take before English men? It becomes an embarrassing situation to the world to see how weak we have become. I look now, I'm 20 miles from a town called Rochdale, where there's been a programme where an entire generation of youth were gang raped and tortured by Muslim men. Those Muslim men are now out of prison after less than 3 or 4 years, and they're walking around the town of Rochdale where the girls are that they rape. What has happened to us as a race? What has happened to us as a country that we're allowing this such systematic abuse of our people? We're allowing now a concert now where our daughters are being massacred and maimed. And this is all being facilitated, and no one is doing anything. So again, I can't answer your question, Alex, because I ask myself every time, when Lee Rigby was beheaded, I said, this has to be it. When this happened earlier and I'm watching it and I'm seeing daughters and young girls, an 8-year-old girl is gone. 22 young British people are dead. What is it going to take? What is it going to take? Well, we've got the same response. But there's a peace vigil in half hour, a peace vigil. What is that peace vigil going to do?
All the peace vigil is a giant white flag begging these folks to kill more. And notice when we're trying to take out non-radical Islam groups in Syria, and they have this clear fake false flag chemical attack. They've been caught doing it before. They show the kids gulping and dying for air. But every time there's a suicide truck or a shooting or a bombing, they blur out the people. They won't show the dead girls. They won't show the dead bodies. It's going to take showing on the news the Islamists taking credit, bragging how they're going to kill your sons and daughters, bragging how they're going to kill your police, bragging how they're going to do all this, and then showing the dead girls or dying girls flopping around with their guts hanging out begging for mommy. It's going to take showing that.
What did the Bataclan in the Bataclan theatre, where people's genitals were cut off and fed to them, where young girls were raped with knives? They were raped with knives. They were tortured. That changed nothing in France. In fact, they've surrendered even further since then. So I sit and look at this situation now and ask, what's going to happen? Probably nothing. But unfortunately, and that's heartbreaking. And then we all get told, Alex. We get told, Paul gets told, you get told. We get told that we're rejoicing somehow in this. Rejoicing is something we've tried to prevent. We get told that we're pushing our agenda. Our only agenda is to stop this, to stop and prevent it happening to more children, to more women, to more British people. And somehow the same people who accuse us of that are the same people saying we need to invite more and work more and it's our fault and we need to accept Islam more. I'm sick to death of it, and I can't believe English men. I keep asking, what is it going to take for you to get up? The whole country should be brought to a standstill by now. Every single city in this country should be gridlocked with men and family men coming out and demanding something's done. What is it going to take? And it's so.
By the way, for folks that don't know your history, you were a good guy, family guy, or a family guy, put in prison for just having peaceful protest. You've been attacked literally hundreds of times, more than 50 times I've seen on video. They don't let you march anywhere in the country with the British flag because that's a sign of hate in your own country. We now have the Ninth Circuit banning the American flag here on the East Coast, saying it's a sign of hate. So tell us about what happened a few weeks ago, because we're going to play this video for TV and radio listeners just to give folks an idea of what it's like for you. When you discovered what a local member of government was up to, you went to his offices, and what happened?
So a local Labour Muslim MP, councillor, when these men, a gang of men, 9 men, they had raped 48 young English girls, 48. When they were taken to court and prosecuted, the ex-Muslim mayor and the Labour councillor went to court and gave them references to say what great men they were, what great men they are. The councillor was also responsible for getting them their taxi licence that they used to traffic the young English girls in whilst they were torturing and raping them. I went to see the councillor to ask him questions of how he's still in power. He's actually been promoted, Alex. He's been promoted since this. I went there and I was met by gangs of violence, gangs of Muslims who ran me off the road, who attacked me to prevent me talking to him. But again, the message we gave then is, I will find that councillor. This week I will find him. We will not let it rest, because although I keep saying what will it take, I have seen something lit in the last 3 months. When I meet every English man, they're buzzing for it. And they're saying, I can see the support.
Well, I'll say this. Nobody should look for a fight, but these people are looking for one. People need to start getting as good as they give. People need to start getting a little bit of you-know-what.
It has become the worrying thing is that the government need to listen to is that as the point is going to come when if you don't protect us, then Englishmen will. Englishmen will, because they will have to. I can't understand. When I'm looking at Manchester now, from my hometown of Luton, when our soldiers were attacked, we gave birth to the United People of Luton, which then become the English Defence League, which the whole world heard about. I look at what's happening in Rochdale and I bang my head and ask, where are the men? Where are the English men? I want to know where the English men are in Manchester. Where is the reaction to what they have just done? Where is the reaction? Because it took me 10 minutes to find the mosque. It took me 10 minutes to find where they are. It took me 10 minutes to find the men that have radicalised and promoted this ideology. And they're walking around this city now. But that is it. And it shouldn't have to take that. But at some point, a breaking point is going to come. And when that point does come, it's not going to be good for Islam. It's not going to be good for the decent Muslims. And that's what they need to understand. Get your house in order before you leave it upon the British public to get it in order.
I think this political correctness is going to trigger things down the road where the Middle East gets turned into a glass parking lot. And I don't even want to see that happen. I didn't want the clash of civilizations, but I just can see now that our elites have allied with Islam as their foot soldiers. It's dangerous. It's disgusting. I want to play a clip of you just a few weeks ago being attacked, run off the road and attacked by a bunch of out-of-control, arrogant thugs because you dared try to go do an interview. Here it is.
We was in Rochdale. We were in Rochdale to see Councillor Hussain. He's a Labour councillor. You've all watched a documentary for Free Girls, which shows the rape and prostitution of a generation of kids in Rochdale by Muslim gangs. Councillor Hussain went to court to defend and give a character reference for one of those men, who is now convicted and in prison as part of a gang who raped 98 young English kids. He's still part of the Labour Party. We went there to ask him and to tell him he has to resign. Out of respect to the victims, he has to resign. He cannot be involved in British politics. When we got there to see Councillor Hussain, there were cars waiting. Straight away, they tried to block the road. There was 4 cars. They tried to block the road. Unfortunately, our camera wasn't even rolling because we hadn't even got out of the car. So they tried to block the road. I had to go up on the pavement to get away. Then you'll see, in the footage you'll see, that's where it starts, where I pull up, a car pulls up next to me, and then I ask them, why are you trying to block the road? Why are you trying to block us in? Why are you all jumping out of cars? At that point, you'll see our car window was smashed. I then drove on. You'll see another young Muslim try and punch through the window. And then we've been proceeding in a bit of a car chase with some cars full of Muslims. That's pretty much it. And then there was a little bit of ramming on the road as well. So this doesn't change anything. Councillor Hussain, if you think that you can get your street gangs, and this is the worrying thing for me, is that you have street-level gangs who are drug dealers and who are pimping and prostituting young English girls, and then you have Labour representatives going to court. The ex-mayor...
All right, let's stop right there. We're going to go to break. The full video is up on Infowars.com, and we covered it just last week. We're going to go to break and come back and look at some of the facts of what just happened and the different numbers. 5 million military-aged men have been brought in. Just like 6-7 million refugees total, 5 million in the last 3-4 years. 80% military-aged men, thousands and thousands every month coming in that they admit, Interpol admits, are ISIS, are Al-Qaeda. And they're letting them back in. In Sweden and Belgium and places, you can pull up the news, they have government funding and welfare for them to, quote, help them. They have PTSD like they're soldiers of Sweden or soldiers of Denmark or soldiers of Belgium. And they bring them in and actually pay for them and put them on welfare. I mean, this is the craziest thing. Also, when we come back, I'm going to do a brief plug here because we fund this operation by the products we sell at InfoWarsStore.com, and we have been sold out of a bunch of our best-selling products for months, like Super Male Vitality X2 for a few weeks and other products, and those are our main funders, so it's been hurting us to not have those. They're back in, and we have them discounted out of the gates for the Memorial Day holiday, InfoWarsStore.com, so take advantage of that. Let's go to Manchester. We're reporting from the ground is Tommy Robinson. Tommy, wow, tell us what you're doing, where you're going.
Well, we're walking through the city, and we was here today. During the day, you'll be able to see the video's gone up on Rebel, where there was bomb scares everywhere. People were running through the shopping centres. Even now, I think if a balloon went off, the whole city would run from fear. And there's a vigil, so organised by Andy Burnham, who is the MP who is working with the Muslim extremist group, who shares a platform with them. He's organising the vigil. He's now the mayor of Greater Manchester. He's in charge of the whole police force. So, yeah, he's organised a vigil for people to come together. This is one of the vigils which you see across.
And so he can be the hero. He can know the peace. Let's run up white flags. Let me be your boss. Just lay down. Let us put the handcuffs on. Get in the yellow Volkswagen. Let us get you in the basement. Go ahead.
That's it. That's it. And that's what I didn't even know this. I've only just started researching Manchester since I got up here this morning. And again, I've only had to scratch beneath the surface. It took me 10 minutes to find things out. 10 minutes to find things out. But I believe now this is one of these vigils where it doesn't do anything, does it? I understand the feeling of coming together. It's not going to...
But it makes the people that allowed it to happen look like they care about everybody on the conciliators.
Oh, they're the people standing up there. They're the people that are going to be standing up there telling us how we'll come through this, we'll stop this, while sharing a platform and appeasing the groups who are radicalising the people in these communities.
Tommy, how far away are you from the vigil?
I have no idea, Alex.
Because earlier I thought you said you were pretty close.
4 minutes, 4 minutes,
okay.
4 or 5 minutes.
Hold on. We're going to come right back in 70 seconds. This is riveting, amazing. On the streets of Manchester with the man who's been imprisoned for protesting or filming Muslims, because Muslims are God. And you've got to look long and hard to hear him saying it's Islamic, but it is. They've taken credit. Tommy Robinson, this is a short segment, long segment coming up. He's about 3 minutes away from the vigil being held by the very local leaders, reportedly, that have been working with radical Islam, protecting the mosque, protecting the people coming back as ISIS fighters. That's mainstream UK news. This is incredible. And Tommy Robinson, feel free to take over here and tell us who the crowd is that's just joined you on the street, marching with you, like right out of Fight Club.
Yeah, they were just local English lads. Local English lads. This is their city, innit? This is their city.
Oh, they were saying, but I saw folks that were white, that were brown, you name it, giving us thumbs up.
Yeah, black lads, yeah. Yeah, that's what, you have to understand, this whole myth. Yeah, the black community, especially where I'm from, we're like this. We're like this. When it comes to, this is an ideology that has no colour. This is an ideology. In fact, many of the most radical Muslims now are white, unfortunately, in the UK, especially in the prison system.
Well, plus, most Africans have been bombed or attacked by Muslim groups. They've really experienced the Islamic invasion in Africa.
Yeah, well, they've embraced the country. Like, as I said, my mum was an immigrant to this country, and she embraced it, and as her children, we embraced it, and that's the same with them. They've embraced it and love it. And but there's one section of the community who don't. One section of immigrants that have come here who refuse to, who are now third generation. I believe this man was second generation, but second and third generation, the problem's getting worse and worse. Problem's getting worse and worse. The hatred, the pure hatred against our way of life, our culture, our history, everything about it.
I have noticed a lot of the British leaders are white Muslims and seem to be the most aggressive. What's going on with that?
Yeah, and in the prison, do you know what's happened is we've lost our identity as English people. We've lost our history. We've not been allowed to be proud in who we are, proud in our history or our culture. So there's something missing anyway. So Islam fills that void. They then join Islam and they're allowed to be proud in their identity. And they're given a real strong sense of belief and identity and belonging, which has been lost, purposely lost, orchestrated. They've done that on purpose. I said most English kids who are 16 are walking around with their heads down. Walking around with their heads down.
So they take culture away and then bring in either leftist globalism or Islam. Why do you think the left is so allied? Again, Tommy Robinson on the ground in Manchester, investigating live. Why do you think that the left is so allied with Islam?
I always say, because it's the Marxists and communists aligning with Islam, and they both hate each other, but they're simply using each other. They're simply using each other. They're using each other, and I think is this where it is now?
Will you give us a shot forward then? We'll still be able to hear you. Just go ahead and turn it around. Tommy Robinson reporting for a lot of great websites and a lot of great work he's doing. You can check him out, obviously, online at therebelmedia.com, tommyrobinson.co.uk, but therebelmedia.com. A lot of great folks there. Look at that beautiful old city of Manchester. And this is the vigil, probably be led by Muslims telling us, that we should all worship them. Look at the gorgeous architecture there.
There's a way to get it to.
Is there?
We just tap it. Just tap this, and then there we go.
Oh, good. He's just teaching Tommy how to flip that around by hitting the wheel. I'm the same way. I'm not that savvy with the tech stuff. I love how people say, look at the Muslim architecture in Turkey. Oh, my God, look at the Blue Mosque. It was built by Christians. I'm not saying the Muslims haven't built some amazing architecture and didn't invent a lot of science. That'd be a lie. I'm just saying, like, the Muslims had a golden age before, especially before they were Muslims, 1,400 years ago.
Yeah, I'll turn it down now.
And I'm sorry, folks, I was against the Iraq War, all of it, because we were overthrowing non-radical Muslims. I don't want to fight with the Muslims, but I cannot put up with this anymore. Tommy Robinson, again, reporting. We're going to go to break, my friend. We'll be back in 3 minutes, and you can take over if you want to report from the scene for folks there. So, again, he's approaching the vigil right now. We've got to go to break. These are hard breaks on the network. So, Tommy, if you want to turn it back around, get a good signal. We appreciate you. We'll be back to you in 3 minutes, okay? All right. I guess he didn't have his earpiece now. I asked him to turn it around. Let's ask him to now let him take over, and then Tommy will report from Manchester at the vigil that has nothing to do with Islamics attacking us last night, according to the media. According to George Soros's group, it's all my fault. We'll be back. I'm Alex Jones. This is the InfoWar.
In ancient times, man roamed the earth in a constant state of hunting or being hunted. Introducing Caveman, where cutting-edge science meets ancient super nutrients. Secure your bottle right now at InfoWarsStore.com.